AskReddit. Construction workers of Reddit, have you ever built secret rooms or any other strange compartments by request? Never built one, but I did find one in a house I was doing some plumbing work in once. This was an expensive condo, and they had a secret office that had a secret one-way mirror looking into the guest shower. Creepy as duck, man. Reminds me of this guy in Alaska. Greg became suspicious of their landlord after he confirmed the room size discrepancies with his tape measure, his wife said. Then he shined a flashlight on the bathroom mirror and saw an unfamiliar room behind the glass. I used to work construction over the summers in high school, and within just a few miles of where I grew up there are 20,000 square plus foot homes. Anyways, this one client, who was pretty well known for being a CEO of a large corporation, requested a secret self-contained smoking room, complete with secret entrance, a bathroom, cedar paneling, self-contained heat and account, and an industrial-sized smoke eater, along with hid-away shelving that would store an endless amount of mason jars full of pot. Also has some crazy vaporizer as well. He would have meetings upstairs in his underwear and robe hole being high as F***K. I used to do some construction work on schools during the summer. The principal wanted, in his closet, a door to slide up where he could keep a safe for special school records, and a mini fridge. Although it wasn't very big or that cool, it was the coolest work I ever was involved in that summer. Plus, who wouldn't want a mini fridge hidden in their wall? Electrician here. Have done a few. The coolest was a secret passageway and attached room in a very nice house. It was hidden by a movable bookshelf on both ends. The guy said he didn't have a specific reason for building it, he just always thought it would be cool to have a secret passageway in his house. The other one that stands out was an underground survival bunker accessed through a hidden door in the back of a garage. It had an additional exit by means of an underground tunnel that leads almost 100 feet in the bordering forest. The strangest thing about it was that it was a survival bunker that he had us wire with outlets and lights, despite there not being any type of a backup / off the grid power. Makes me think that he actually had an alternative purpose for the shelter. Step 1. Build this hidden bunker. Step 2. Sell the house without telling the buyers. Step 3. Live in the bunker stealing their electric and small amounts of cash / food. Seems pretty straightforward actually. This one to me is the coolest. We have a family friend who is a builder and built his own house. Obviously, I haven't been over to his house in a while, but last time I was there, they were still finishing it. They've been finishing it for several years, and you'll see why soon. Their house is 7 stories tall, 4 above, 3 basement levels, has elevators, a full-size basketball court, indoors, several kitchens and living rooms, a huge theater room, an apartment that is attached with its own kitchen, living room, dining room, and 4 bedrooms, and the main house has countless bedrooms and other multi-purpose rooms. The house is ginormous, but the coolest part is the house has those McDonald's slides in it. There are 2 in it, maybe more now, of these slides. One goes from the top floor to the bottom, and one goes from the top floor to ground level. In the biggest one, however, there is a secret passage that's kind of hard to get to. When the slide gets to its steepest point, you have to brace yourself against the walls so you stop. If you can, the slide actually has a tunnel to the side that you can take. When you go through that secret tunnel, it takes you to a secret balcony in their in-home theater with a fridge and chairs and stuff. It's a pain in the butt to get to, but it's really cool. They do have a few other hidden rooms, but unfortunately the guy who owned the house wouldn't tell us. He said we had to find them on our own. Every time I was there, spent the entire time knocking on walls, inspecting bookshelves, etc. This will probably end up buried, but I doubt I'll be able to share this store somewhere else. I stumbled across one a couple years ago at my uncle's house. The house was huge, 6 ensuite bedrooms, luxury car, plenty of floor space, huge garden with custom ornaments and a swimming pool. Occasionally my uncle used to leave for a good few hours, leaving me with the house, telling me not to make a mess. When he used to leave, I'd sometimes invite a girl round the house. One day this went horribly wrong. I invited her over, then quickly jumped in the shower. After my shower I went into this small closet to get my towel. It got caught on something as I was pulling it out, and I heard a click sound come from my uncle's bedroom. Completely naked and curious, I decided to take a quick look to see if there was anything that happened. As I walked in, the floor mat had been moved. I caught a glimpse of a dip on the floor mat on the wall side too. I quickly wrapped the towel around me, pulled the mat up, seeing a separation between two of the floorboards. I was freaking out at this point, not knowing if I wrecked part of the expensive floor. I decided to try push the floorboard back in place, but it wouldn't work, so I grabbed the bottom bit of the wall from the gap, and just as I squeezed a little bit, I heard another click. The wall, which was the gap between the ensuite bathroom and the bedroom door, completely slid up. It definitely wasn't conspicuous at all. Inside I found all of my uncle's old martial arts kit, a small shrine type of room with floor mats, and at the front center of the room was the most expensive looking swords I've seen. I stepped forward a little and the lights came on by themselves. The room was actually quite warm. I was literally surrounded by old/expensive looking items. I heard the doorbell ring and my phone go off, so I started to leave the room. Just before I got wall that was open, it began to slide down. I was trapped for 2 hours in total. The girl came in. I was banging on the walls shouting her to come upstairs. She freaked out and called the police. My uncle came home, not even mad at me, telling me to just feel on the wall for a little indent. I found it, pressed it, then the wall raised again. I was naked. I must have left my towel somewhere in the room during the panic. Turns out that's his safe room for the artifacts he collects. Made sense as he became wealthy after selling antiques and going on trips across the world. Friend of the family works as a custom cabinet maker. Most of his jobs involve him making secret compartments for edge clients. Mainly desks with a secret place that can hide guns, keys, ledgers, and swords. Oddly enough, a lot of people request that, but also that stuff in bookshelves, picture frames, etc. He also gets your typical movable bookshelves. Yes, we worked on what was supposedly going to be a hidden/secret walk-in safe in the basement. This room was heavily reinforced. Normally, walls around doors are framed using wood. This door frame was solid reinforced concrete. The room was a square attached to the outside of the basement, so all 4 walls were concrete. We poured concrete above it, so the ceiling was concrete. Very unusual. We also poured the floor, so it was 6 sides made of concrete. Since it was attached to the outside, there was no sign that it existed from the inside. No ventilation, no wiring from what I saw. I never saw the finished product, but the owner was keeping it a secret and wouldn't explain much about it. So another contractor finished it off. I think he built a cell or dungeon. While working for an architect, we designed a home with a similarly reinforced room in the basement. But it also had stairway access from the master closet. The guy collected art and wanted a secure place for the artwork. The house wasn't overly outrageous, but in a nice wealthy part of town. Another guy had a shooting range built completely underground. The plans were all engineered, but the county has no idea that it's there. I built an on-ear closet for someone. Their daughter had one request for the new house. She had a built-in armoire, white and modern looking with nice shelving units on the right side and a bigger opening on the left. However, when you push the back of the left closet side, it opened up into an actual closet that was about 5x 10 feet on the inside. Not too shabby at all. Was a pretty fun build, albeit somewhat challenging. Edit, spelling/words. My parents' house has a secret room that's behind a bookshelf in their master bedroom. The reason is put quotations around secret is because this hidden room is wall-to-wall open window. So basically, you could hide from someone inside of the house, but if they happen to walk around outside, you appear to be in a normal room. My dad is a doctor and does a lot of construction at home on his free time. This one time he was moving a wall, making one room smaller and another bigger. He was putting an entire wall bookshelf kind of thing in the smaller room, and just to fuck with future home owners he snatched one of those plastic skeletons from his job and hid it in the space between the bookshelf and the wall. I expect headlines sometime in the future. Was a draughtsman for a while. 2 super wealthy Chinese parents were building all 3 of their children houses on their massive property. I was asked to design the ironing room for the eldest daughter. She genuinely liked doing ironing and laundry. I ended up designing this massive room with bay windows overlooking the lake with all sorts of storage compartments and a variety of ironing stations. She loved it. I got a healthy bonus, and I'm still confused to this day. Just moved into a house that was built in the 70s. The previous owners custom built it, and the architect was the man's old frat buddy. Custom stuff everywhere, trash chutes straight from the kitchen into the garage wheelie bin. When we first looked at the house, we really loved it, but there was no office space that my husband could use for his music stuff. It was the only disappointing thing about the house, but since everything else was so perfect, we went ahead and put in the offer. When we were doing another walkthrough with our parents, we showed them the walk-up attic, which is pretty cool too. When I turned around to leave, I noticed a wall of insulation that looked different. If you push the insulation to one side, a door knob appears, and behind it is a secret office. Coolest house ever. My friend's house has a room that is totally finished and has carpeting, painted walls and lighting, the works. Except, it's on the second floor, and there is no way to access it. You can see into it, because it has 2 or 3 windows but no door. It's very strange. There is no way you could put a door in either, as it is separated from the rest of the second floor by a 2-story family room. It's really weird. I can't think of why the original owner would have wanted that. Secret S**X dungeon with a secret entrance maybe? I worked for a very wealthy man, and he had hidden rooms and sliding bookcases etc. When he would need calm equipment in these areas, we would gain access. Some also were built around wiring channels and we would find them. Because the dimensions of the room didn't fit, we'd have to tell his assistant and let her know we knew, so she could let him know we knew and needed to get access. He had a hidden pistol range, a few safe rooms, and a pretty badass gun room tucked away into the 3 properties I had access to. All of the work was top notch, and unless you knew they were there it was very difficult to find them. I'm not a construction worker. I attended a private boarding school. When I was younger, the school itself was 200+ years old and the castle it was built around was much older. Upon exploring, me and a few other friends found an entrance to a system of tunnels that ran beneath the school. The tunnels were used as maintenance tunnels for the old heating system that was once run from a gas boiler system. Originally we thought that was why they were built. We began trying to map out the tunnels and used to spend hours underneath the school during study time, night roaming around with a measuring tape drawing it to scale. We never completed the map due to the system's enormity. As we got further and further into the tunnels we learned that these were much older than just the gas boiler. A new cement tunnel seemed to extend about 1 kilometer in radius. Past 1 kilometer the tunnels got older and more dangerous. We found that they extended all the way out to a pavilion in our school. These passages were also in cement, but were very clearly much older. Most of my time as a 14-year-old was spent roaming around them. It gave us passages into locked rooms, the castle, band grounds, to the forests etc. We decorated a lot of the walls down there in shoe polish and stolen art paints. We would even smoke down there a mere few feet below the headmaster's office. In the 1970s, a group of Edinburgh students living in a flat in Nidri Street, in the city's old town, knocked on a wall and heard a hollow sound. Curious, and probably drunk, they knocked a hole through it, where they exposed an old labyrinth of corridors and rooms underneath North Bridge, nearly half a mile in length. People had lived and died in these rooms, underneath the city's bridge. There had been bars and brothels, and doss houses for the poor. People in the Victorian times had closed it off, and subsequent generations had forgotten where the entrances were. When the local FBI office in the city I live in was being built, an owner change order came in to make all the finishes in these 2 rooms in the basement rated for pressure washing. These 2 rooms were immediately nicknamed the murder rooms by the construction workers.